Hello everyone, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers, TGIF. Going to do a quick update this morning looking at visible satellite imagery, morning low temperatures, what the high temperatures are going to look like the next couple days, current air quality, what the air quality could do the next couple days, upcoming system for the weekend, and what kind of rainfall amounts we can expect for the area. So right now, looking at the visible satellite imagery as the sun is rising over the state, we see that there is some valley fog in places like the Skagit River Valley, the Stillaguamish River Valley, Snohomish and Snoqualmie River Valley, Skykomish River Valley, some of the valleys out there in southwest Washington. And we also got some wildfire smoke over portions of the state out there by the Bear Gulch Fire, and the Wildcat Fire, Labor Mountain Fire, the Lower Sugarloaf Fire, and the fires in northeast Washington have also deteriorated air quality out in those locations. Looking at the morning temperatures, there is a little bit of a nip in the air. My low temperature this morning was 43 degrees. My hands are kind of cold this morning. So right here we can see around the state, there's plenty of locations that got down into the 40s, some areas with the low 40s, a couple spots down there by Olympia that got down to the upper 30s, and warmer east of the Cascades for the most part, but there are some other areas over there that also got down into the 40s. Looking at high temperatures the next couple days, it's going to be a nice couple autumn days here. Temperatures for the most part east of the mountains are going to get into the upper to mid 80s over there, with areas in the higher terrain getting into the 70s like Republic. And then west of the Cascades, most locations are going to get at least into the low 70s to the mid 70s. So there's going to be a couple nice afternoons, get home from work, get some yard work done, but nippier in the morning. It's the time of year where it's hard to know how to dress. You got to dress warm for the morning, and then by the afternoon, you're dressed for too warm of weather. And then heading into Saturday, temperatures are going to be a bit, very similar to today for the most part, with temperatures getting into the low to mid 70s for many locations west of the Cascades. Cooler on the coast as the system begins to approach. That's bringing rain. And still getting into the mid 80s. Some areas getting hotter down there by the Tri-Cities and whatnot. Looking at this morning's air quality, we can see for many locations along the I-5 corridor, the air quality is okay. Out there by the Bear Gulch Fire, though, the air quality is horrible this morning. If you're out in Hoodsport, make a shout out. It looks like it's really bad out there by you guys. Sorry, I'm not intending to laugh at your suffering out there. It's horrible. And then over there by Wenatchee and whatnot, horrible air quality from the Lower Sugarloaf Fire, also heading up towards Winthrop and Omak and northeast Washington and whatnot. And looking at what the air quality is going to do the next couple days, this is zooming out to noon today. And it looks like there is going to be some deterioration of air quality coming into other portions of west of the Cascades today. And it looks like, by about 4 p.m., air quality in west Whatcom, west Snohomish County, and parts of Keene County is going to deteriorate as some smoke kind of makes its way over in this direction here. And east of the Cascades, of course, it just stays bad. And over there by Hoodsport, I would say that there's a pretty good chance that your air quality is going to stay pretty diminished. And then going into tomorrow, winds begin to be a bit more onshore. So for west of the Cascades, air quality should improve. I would think that the Bear Gulch Fire might send a little bit more smoke over towards the I-5 corridor than this model is currently showing, possibly. But east of the Cascades, if you live out towards like Ritzville and Spokane, can expect some pretty bad air quality from the Sugarloaf Fire, sending its smoke further east. Looking at the upper air pattern here, we have a system that's going to approach over the weekend and bring some rain to the area. Here's looking at the rain. Currently looking like the rain is going to begin on Saturday night up there on the northwest Washington coast, overspread the coast, by about midnight, 2 a.m. And then by about 5 a.m., the cold front is going to make its passage across the I-5 corridor by about 5 a.m. So for many of us, the steady rain is probably going to be wrapped up by the time we are waking up here in Washington State, with the exception of some Puget Sound conversion zone activity that may be occurring over Snohomish and King County, and light amounts for eastern Washington. Looking at the rainfall totals, so far it's looking like the northwest Washington coast is possibly going to be the breadwinner for this, getting up to maybe around 1.5 inches over there by Forks, about 3 quarters of an inch down there on the southwest Washington coast, and then up and down the I-5 corridor, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, with possibly higher amounts up there in Whatcom County and Skagit County, with a bit of rain shadowing occurring from the Olympic Mountain rain shadow over parts of Port Angeles, Sequim, Port Townsend, and Whidbey Island, and also the western portions of Snohomish and King County. But any rain helps. This amount of rainfall right here, over 1/2 inch of rain on the Bear Gulch fire, would be extremely helpful. Unfortunately, though, there's not going to be very much rain that falls in the lower Sugarloaf or the Wildcat fire or the Labor Mountain fire, but there may be some rain over here in northeast Washington that could help the situation a little bit, but not a ton for the wildfires. And then looking at total cloud cover here, it looks like on Sunday, even though that system goes through on Sunday, there's probably going to be some clearing, partly cloudy, in Sunday afternoon. So not horrible weekend weather coming up, really. And we need the rain. And also looking at 5 p.m. on Sunday for temperatures, it's looking like temperatures may still get into the mid-60s for many locations of western Washington, maybe warmer down there by Tacoma and Olympia, Vancouver, Washington, and east of the Cascades is still going to get into the 70s. So a nice cool off, but not too cold. Looking off into the future here, after that system goes through on Monday, some subtle ridging is going to begin to build over the area, leading to a couple more dry days. There's going to be a system that's going to come close to the region on Wednesday, but I don't think it's going to deliver much of anything. And then we are keeping an eye on this trough at the end of the week as to whether or not that is going to bring some more rain to the region. Looking at yesterday evening's run of the European, we can see what kind of precipitation was associated with those. Look at a slightly wider view of the Pacific Northwest here with that. All right, zooming off, there's the weekend system. And then there's the system on Tuesday and Wednesday that's going to come close to the area, but not really affect the area. And then, yeah, it's mostly dry. These systems just kind of skirt. So I still think there's a chance of rain possibly at the end of the week if we were to look at the EPS, which is the European ensemble data. This is looking at 24-hour rain totals. So there's the weekend. There's the midweek. And then there are some hints that some of the members are showing some rain, but not most by the end of the week. And then things could possibly start getting wetter by next weekend. Looking at the Sugarloaf fire, last night I did a video update on this, and some people turned my attention to the fact that the crews out there have been using an opportunity to burn out on dozer lines on Gold Ridge. They're basically creating big fuel breaks. So a lot of this area over here, they've really had good control over the eastern flank of this, just trying to get ahead of the conditions heading for the fire over the weekend. So that was good to hear, that it wasn't just wild fire activity, but more of a controlled situation. There's 20% containment on it, but they still will need to keep an eye on the fire, as over the weekend there is going to be some gusty conditions out towards that fire, with wind gusts near the fire getting up to about 30 miles per hour, and the relative humidity is going to get extremely low, down into the low teens, and it's going to be pretty hot out there as well, with temperatures getting close to 90 degrees, if not into the low to mid 90s in some of these valleys, probably the low 90s. Okay, folks, thanks for hopping on. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll try to keep on doing some of these updates. I've got some video ideas. I would like to do a video on what kind of weather conditions lead to colorful autumn leaves, and might also do a video on what kind of snow season we can expect in the mountains. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later.